Weavile had always been bad in the Ubers tier, the tier full of legendary Pokemon. Weavile has a high attack stat and high speed stat but low defenses, and Weavile's power level had just never been enough to be considered to be used in the Ubers tier. But all that changed in Generation 8, where Weavile is not only used in the Ubers tier, it's really good. You might think it's because of heavy duty boots, but Weavile doesn't actually use that item in Ubers. So why is Weavile suddenly good enough to hang around in the legendary tier, and why wasn't it good enough before? And if you like my content or I tell you something you didn't know, make sure to subscribe because there's going to be a lot more where that came from. There are two main reasons why Weavile is good now. It got the move Triple Axle, which is an effective base 120 power ice type move, a big step up from Icicle Crash, which is only base 85. But also, it matches up well versus the big three of Ubers, Yveltal, Necrozma Duskmane, and Eternatus. It also has a type advantage versus Caldric Shadow, another S-rank Pokemon. It's impossible to underestimate just how deadly the combination of Dark and Ice is. The best Ice resist Necrozma Duskmane is weak to Dark. Yveltal is the most common Dark resist but is weak to Triple Axle. Weavile mainly uses two movesets. One is Swords Dance with knockoff, Triple Axle, and either Ice Shard or a move like Low Kick. It uses either a Focus Sash or Never Melt Ice. It doesn't need heavy duty boots because it's usually used on offensive teams that try to keep hazards off through momentum. It rather appreciates a power boost to keep up with Uber's Pokemon. Swords Dance creates a lot of nasty scenarios where Weavile threatens a strong attack and is risky to stay in. For example, in the situation of Weavile versus Yveltal, Yveltal is often needed to check Caldric Shadow, so it's a big risk to stay in on a Swords Dance Weavile that can hit you with Triple Axle. If Weavile gets that Swords Dance off, it's tough to compete with that speed and power. For example, even Specs Kyogre gets one hit KO'd by a +2 knockoff. The other moveset it uses is Choice Band Beat Up. Beat Up is a move that depends on the attack stat of your teammates. Weavile takes advantage of the fact that its teammates are Ubers with high base stats and uses it to throw off powerful stab boosted beat ups. Because Beat Up is a multi-hit move, its first hit triggers Cold Berry and then you get 5 super effective hits afterwards. Beat Up isn't a contact move either, so neither Ferrothorn nor Rocky Helmet can stop Weavile. Even Yveltal can't stop Choice Band Beat Up because if Yveltal switches in, its Dark Aura ability actually helps Weavile out and turns Beat Up into a 2-hit KO. The main problem with Weavile in Generation 8 is still that it's not very bulky. It will have major problems trying to switch in. Also, Weavile's low bulk means that even though it's a Dark type, it may have trouble dealing with Caldric Shadow. This means you'll probably have to add another Dark type to the team, which means you have to stack the same type multiple times, which can make your team weaker defensively. Still though, that trade-off is worth it for a lot of offensive teams. But if Weavile is so good now, why was it really bad in Generations 4 to 7? In Generations 4 and 5, Knockoff was only base 20 power. In Generations 6 and 7, even though Knockoff was good, it didn't have the move Triple Axle, which is a huge source of power. But more fundamentally, in Generation 8, Ubers had a reverse power creep, with a lot of Uber Pokemon getting removed from the game. Most notably, Arceus was removed. In Generation 7, Arceus, Primal Groudon, and Primal Kyogre made it insanely difficult for Weavile to wall break effectively, especially without the move Triple Axle. Weavile is a strong, fast, but frail wall breaker, but why settle for that? Why not just use a strong, fast, not frail wall breaker like Mewtwo? This is the Ubers tier after all, there are better statistical Pokemon. In Generation 8, Weavile's type combination is what justifies itself because it matches up well versus the top threats. In Generation 7, Weavile doesn't match up versus the top threats. Overall, Weavile finds itself at the right place and the right time, gaining Triple Axle right when the Ubers metagame is built on Pokemon weak to Dark and Ice, and for the first time in its career, it's good enough to hang around in the Ubers tier. For more Ubers content, check out Aberforth on YouTube. He posts Ubers content and helped me make this video.